There are about 24 warbler species nesting in Maine. But can you find them all? Let's start easy. These are the 11 easiest. Magnolia warbler. Wait a minute, what makes that the 11th easiest? What's the scorecard here? You could just take my word for it, but even I don't trust me. So here's another idea. We'll use eBird, the incredible database app from the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. If you're not using it, you ought to. We'll look at all the eBird lists from the last 5 years during June and July, during nesting season. Any warbler that shows up in at least 10% of those lists makes the cut. And according to eBird, Magnolia warbler just squeaks in at 10%. So does that really make the Magnolia warbler the 11th most common warbler in Maine? Well, maybe yes or maybe no. Some of the less common birds may be reported more often because they're more obvious. Some more common warblers may be reported less often because they're less obvious. Still, I haven't got a better system, so let's go with that. Now, it may be the Magnolia warbler is more common the 11th, but it's got a wimpy song and it may be noticed a little less. Its song is just a wimpy weet, weet, weedio, or weedo, weedo, weedo. And sometimes they're such wimpy singers that they can't even get their song right. I mean, listen to this guy. And another thing that may hold the Magnolia warbler back, it likes mixed habitat, a little more coniferous. You get more of that as you go further north in Maine, and so it may be more abundant where there are fewer people reporting it. Bottom line, Magnolia warbler, number 11. At number 10, pine warbler. All right, good example. This bird is probably more common than the number of reports it gets, but it likes the tops of pine trees where it's out of sight. And unless you know the trill, you might not know it was there. By the way, there are fewer pine trees in northern Maine. It's more spruce fir. And so they start to disappear the closer you get to the North Pole. But if there's a big stand of white pines and maybe red pines, it's probably got a pine warbler in it. And number 9, Yellow-rumped warbler. These guys are all over the state, but because they also have a short, wimpy, variable song, it may go a little bit underreported. The majority of time, it sounds like this. But sometimes it goes up at the end, like this. Sometimes it goes down at the end. The point is, it's a short, wimpy song that is variable, so if you're having trouble, suspect maybe it could be this one, Yellow-rumped warbler. At number 8, Chestnut-sided warbler. 13% of all the checklists submitted to eBird in June and July over the last 5 years included Chestnut-sided warbler. One reason is because this one is pretty easy. If it's around, you know it. It likes low secondary regrowth areas, pretty scrubby, likes lots of sunshine, and it's noisy. In 1934, Roger Torrey Peterson said this sounded like please, please, please to meet ya. And we've been saying it that way ever since. Now, truth is, you can ignore all the please, please, pleases because that wee-o at the end is so clear and distinctive most of the time. This one is hard to mess up. Please, please, please to meet ya. At number 7, yellow warbler. Sweet, 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 I'm so sweet. Or sometimes sweet, 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 a little more sweet, your choice. This one's very easy because it's bright yellow, it lives in plain sight, loves sunshine, open areas around city parks, riverbanks, golf courses, university campuses. It's right out in the open where it's pretty easy to see. And it sings a lot. Sweet, 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 I'm so sweet. Yellow warbler. Nashville warbler. That one didn't even make the cut. That's down somewhere around 13, 14. So this is a mix of the most common warblers you're going to find in Maine, but the principle is the same no matter where you are. The most common warblers are making most of the noise. So learn the easy ones first. Okay, this I gotta share. Ruffed grouse dust bath. He dusted in that today and apparently left a little poop behind. That's not sanitary. At number 6, the black and white warbler, the squeaky wheel. These are so common, I can hear 3 of them right now. These guys sing a lot. They're everywhere. They're even in backyards. You're not usually going to find them deep in the woods. They really like the sunny edges of the forest. The squeaky wheel. Now, there are some other birds that do kind of a squeaky wheel, but this guy is a strong, robust, weetsy squeaky wheel. When you hear it, you know it, because it's just a more robust, stronger squeaky wheel than any of its imitators. This one's easy. This one's not. At number 5, American redstart. It's easy to see why 20% of the lists sent into eBird for June and July over the last 5 years included American redstart. They like it low, they like it sunny, they're down where you can see them. You won't find them in the understory of tall forests. They make a lot of noise. The problem is, you might not recognize the noise. They do a bunch of vocalizations, and some of them are pretty weak. Sweet, 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 sweet. Most of the ones I've heard today are doing the ski-ski-skizix thing. So if you hear something that sounds like it might be a warbler, short and sweet, but really weak, and you don't know what it is, suspect American redstart. You can't be serious. There's a northern saw-whet owl calling, and it's 3 in the afternoon. At number 4, black-throated green warbler. Honestly, if I hadn't looked up the eBird data, I would have said this was the most common singing warbler in Maine, but it's only number 4. They are everywhere. Deep in the woods, suburban backyards. So long as the trees are big enough, you've probably got black-throated green warblers. It's on 1/4 of all the eBird lists sent in. Best of all, it's got a very easy to remember song. Z, 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 Zoo, Z. Now it does have a slow version. Trees, trees, murmuring trees, but it's just a slower version of the same song. Look, if you're anywhere in Maine during nesting season, you're going to hear this bird everywhere. Z, 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 Zoo, Z. At number 3, northern parula, or parula, well, however you want to pronounce it. Actually, this is in a statistical tie with the black-throated green warbler. They're both within decimal points of 25% of the lists, which is no surprise because they kind of like the same habitat. They do like a little more mature trees. They like to be up in the foliage foraging. They forage a little bit differently, but they tend to be together a lot. And another reason it's probably rated so high, you just can't misidentify the song. It's a zipper. Z-yip. Now, sometimes it's Z, 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 Z-up. But it's Z-up. You can't mix this up with anything else. And they sing a lot. And at number 2 on the list, are you ready for this? Ovenbird. And the funny thing is, probably more than half the people who reported it didn't actually see it. See, ovenbirds are birds of the understory. They even nest in the ground. They feed in the ground. They're not all that easy to see, but boy, are they loud. So remember this, teacher, 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 with the emphasis on the second syllable. Once you've got this, you're going to hear this everywhere in Maine. Teacher, teacher, teacher. You just can't miss this one when he's doing teacher, teacher, teacher. I know what you're thinking. Have I subscribed to this channel yet? I should. And at number 1, recorded on 38% of all the checklists sent into eBird over the last 5 years, give it up for common yellowthroat. What part of common wasn't clear? And of course, the best thing is they have an easy to remember song. Witchity, 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 witch. Sometimes they drop the last witch, so it's just witchity, 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 but you get the idea. Witchity, 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 witch. There's a ton of them all across the state. You get up into the North Maine woods, far from civilization. If there's a riverbank, if there's a fern area, if there's a logged area that's regenerating, they're all over the place. If you're in parks, if you're in backyards, and there's low bushes anywhere, they're there. They like it sunny. They sing well into the summer. They're just awfully easy to find. So those are the 11 easiest to find birds in Maine. Now, will Bob do the hardest birds to find? I will, if I can find them. Seriously, subscribe, and if I fail, unsubscribe. All right, I'm out of here. I'm already working on my next video.